course that will teach you the skills of drawing and painting from scratch. Maybe you already have a history with the arts and you want to get back to the canvas. I want you to meet Dallas Perry. Now, she is a lecturer for visual art and she's the principal lecturer for art design at North Metro TAFE, and she joins me in the studios. Hello, Dallas.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Now, I want to know your history with drawing and painting. Which came first?
Oh, probably a bit of both, I'd say. I've always been a bit of a rebel, breaking the rules. You know, there's no sort of definition for both for me. It's a bit of everything.
Yeah. Was it a love that started when you were young?
Yeah. So I grew up in a mining town that people might have heard of before called Broken Hill.
Yeah, in South Australia.
Yeah, just
near the border.
Yeah, it's a bit confused there with the time zones.
Yeah, lots of dust.
Yeah, lots. And lots of artists. So I actually grew up next door to an artist. He was part of the Brushmen of the Bush, and the town's full of artists like Pro Hart. And so, yeah, lots of influence from a young age of different people's creativity, including my own parents.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. I've got some friends who work at the ABC station there, so I know it a little bit well. So your parents, what influence did they have? Tell us.
Both love the outdoors. Both, took us, my sister and I, on a lot of, I suppose, excursions to different parts of regional Western New South Wales and looking at, Indigenous art or different art galleries or just the environment in general. And how do you appreciate that? Film's too expensive to take a photo, so let's do a drawing. So that's generally where it starts.
So when did you know that you wanted to help others find the inner artist?
I suppose back in high school, sitting in the classroom, helping my friends. We're talking about our different pencils and our paints, and I just loved sharing ideas and helping people sort of find their way to express their ideas. And that's, I suppose, not stopped since. Whether it's making my own art or helping and teaching other people to make theirs, I find that a really exciting thing to do.
Did you always love stationery as a young kid? Yeah, yeah.
Too much stuff. Yes, recently renovating and packing it all up, wondering why I've got it.
I've got the Derwents and I've got the ink and the
exactly.
What's your tool of choice? What do you?
So I have quite a background in printmaking. That was my major in art school. So looking at things like woodblock printing, lino printing, silkscreen printing. So my last few exhibitions have been around making work that was printmaking based.
Wow.
But really sort of bunny hopping between printmaking and drawing.
Okay. What kind of prints? Can you describe one to us?
I'd describe them as moody landscapes, so really sort of atmospheric. So how do you feel the wind and how do you feel the cold rain or being sandblasted by the grit, and how do you, appreciate the sunrise or the sunset or the clouds, that sort of thing. So that sort of COVID darkness, I had a bit of a dark period during COVID making art. A lot of it was very black.
Was that linked to your emotional state?
Yeah, I think so. Psychological state. And then Mark McGowan opened the border and it's like, hallelujah, I can sort of see something else, and did a lot of travelling in Australia that year, and that really sort of had quite an impact of colour in my work, much to many people's delight in my family, making much more bright things.
Oh, that's awesome. It is 2:15. My guest is Dallas Perry from North Metro TAFE. We're talking about painting, drawing, printmaking. Now, you taught at TAFE in New South Wales. So what brought you to Perth?
Oh, love. It's a love story.
Yes. Please tell me. He fell in love with your art? No.
Oh, no. No, we're quite opposite in our taste for art. He's very traditional, likes very traditional old paintings, old masters, and, I don't really have much of a love affair for those, but it was our love affair that brought me to Western Australia. So, better than paying lots of phone bills, let's live in the same state.
Yeah, do you want to give him a shout out?
Hi, Ed, hope you're listening online.
That's very cool. So what age demographic do you tend to teach across your courses? Who is into painting and drawing at the moment?
Oh, look, in a lot of our courses, the age range, like from our daytime courses, our youngest student would be 15 or 16. Whereas up to, my oldest students are in their 70s. So we've got quite a spread of student age. Majority would be between 17 and 25, I would say.
Wow.
But I think it's that diverse age range in the classroom that makes life really interesting. You get to experience everyone's backgrounds and approaches to how they think about the world and interpret a project brief.
Yeah, and anime is very popular right now when it comes to visual art, right?
It is. It goes through waves, definitely goes through waves, and it does certainly hang with that younger age group.
Yeah.
But we try and sort of get students to think about, well, what other ways can you make art? You know, it's not about the big eyes all the time. How else can you portray yourself or other people? So, yeah, we get them to look broadly and think broadly.
Yeah, definitely. Now, for some people, showing others their work can be a real challenge. So, how does that go in a learning space, in a teaching space?
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of our teaching because we have to learn how to show our art. We have to learn how to talk about our art. We have to learn how to receive feedback about it as well, which is often can feel like an arrow to the heart. You know, it's very personal, but, you know, how do we, and it's about a journey, I suppose. How do you build the confidence? So our students, whilst they might not go out to get a job as a practicing artist, we're teaching them a lot of different transferable skills about communication, giving and receiving information, and how do you find that vocabulary to describe that work as well.
Without destroying someone in 5 seconds.
And without saying I like it. So the like culture, you know, the very much the social media, I'll like it or I'll love it. How do you justify that? So we often spend a lot of time justifying why we like or love something or hate it. If you hate it, why? Yeah. So it's good fun.
That's very true. 20 minutes past 2, Dallas Perry is with me. We're talking about drawing and painting and where to start. And you have this brilliant 5-week course that we're going to talk about very soon. But when you get new students into the classroom, where do you actually start?
I mean, we always start with the fundamentals, and the fundamentals is your elements and principles of design. So let's start to build that vocabulary of understanding, well, what is colour, what is line, and what can I use to make and show those sorts of things. So most of our classes start through simply making, learn through doing, and then you can start to evaluate and understand and get a feel for where you might go.
Because I must say I've been quite entertained. A few of my friends have been going to, you know, the classes where you have a wine and you paint, and everybody is doing a black cockatoo at the moment, and somehow everybody looks really good at it. Why is that? Is it the wine?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the environment there. I think it's about how you apply things in a formula. You can follow the recipe or you can not follow the recipe. So it's really good to know what the recipe is and how to formulate or how to structure an artwork. What's the background? So in a painting, there's colours that need to go in the background or underneath, and then there's colours that need to sit on top. And if you, let's say you had really dark colours underneath and painted light colours on top, it's not generally going to work that well. So that's that recipe that you need to follow. Yeah. But there's always good cases to know when to break those rules.
Definitely. Same with recipes.
Yes.
Wow. Look at that. My dad was big into caricatures. That was quite popular in the 80s. Yes. Is that making a comeback at all?
I think in spaces it does. Like there's horses for courses, and I think it depends. We're getting students to think about, what are you making art for? Who is your audience? And if you're making caricatures, why and who is that for? You know, is it that sort of typical sort of lead pencil caricature that we saw in the newspaper? There's not a lot of newspapers around anymore. So how else do you see that? It's become more of a meme, or it's become something that is more animated.
Or shared on Twitter, like Kathy Wilcox still does really good caricatures. But, yeah, I've not seen a lot of it lately. And I suppose, a lot of people also do the nude life drawings. That's really difficult, right?
It's hard work, yes. Yeah. There's different ways of doing life drawing as well. So in fine art, we look at measuring the body and drawing the body in proportion. So the body is measured by heads. So it's a really what I call abstract maths.
Oh.
So how many times does your head from the top of it to the bottom of your chin fit back into your body?
Right now?
Yeah, like let's think about that. And then you go, well, what if I measure how many times my nose fits into my face?
Oh.
And you're getting students to start to feel their own body and go, well, is my nose as big as my ear? And, how do I draw my body in proportion? How do I show space? Whereas in fashion, they draw the body not in proportion, they elongate the body. So if you think of your typical image, an illustration on a pattern for sewing, there's really long legs, that they're standing on their tippy toes.
So we buy it.
Yeah, very elegant. Yeah.
That's very clever. So where do most of your students go after completing your courses? Are there paths to uni? Where do they tend to use the skills?
Yeah, so some of our students will go through to our diploma, which is what we call our second year course, and then they might decide to go off and do art teaching or go and do some sort of double major that they're using their art making skills with, maybe into art therapy, early childhood, that sort of thing.
There are lots of artists in residence at daycares now.
Yeah,
I've noticed.
absolutely. High schools, primary schools,
Yeah.
daycares, because it's all that sort of, you can integrate that nature-based, play-based learning through that sort of tactile approach. So that's a beautiful course to do, to have those 2D or 3D making skills in the Diploma of Visual Art, then to go off and specialise in something else.
Yeah.
Join them together.
Do you think AI will ever take over visual art? What do you think?
I think it's actually made us, I think it's elevated fine art and visual art in a way that it brings more appreciation and value back to the hand. I'm sort of cheering for it for that respect. I'm like, yes, it's put more value back into art and needing to have the originality and evidence of the artist making this. So I'm all for that, for strengthening the arts.
Take that, AI.
There you go.
So your 5-week course, who is it designed for?
Well, it's designed for anyone who's looking to have that sort of, let's dip my toe in and see if I'm, want to challenge myself with drawing. Let's see, I've got a burning desire to, try some new materials. I want to throw away my pencils and want to try drawing with ink or pastel or Conti crayons or things like that. So, and how do you develop that confidence in making, and how do you develop that confidence in talking about what you do? So that's I suppose, many people out there and trialling things and excited by materials. So they're the ones that I think would be great for this course.
This is going to be a really stupid question, but do you have a book list before you start something like this? Do you come in with the tools, or do you just learn what you like to work with?
For a course like that, from drawing from scratch or painting from scratch, we generally will supply a lot of materials.
Okay.
But for any artist, we generally have a standard toolkit, and it's like standard, you might have your 6 brushes and your HB pencil, a ruler, fishing tackle kit to put it in. And then as you go on, you start, you go, oh, geez, I need to go to, the art supply store and I need to get this, and I'll pop that in there. So you're building your resources.
Yeah.
Knowledge grows.
Nothing smells better than an art box. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's very cool. Well, look, Dallas, really appreciate you coming in. Thank you for the tips on what I can do with my daughter and her 40,000 drawings. We are going to recycle them and turn them into new ones. And all the best with the course.
Thank you. And all the best with maternity leave.
Thank you, Dallas Perry. So she is the Principal Lecturer for Art and Design at North Metro TAFE. So they do a 5-week course, but they do a series of other courses as well. They've got the Cert 4 in printmaking, which you can go along to, and a few others. The Advanced Diploma, you can go on to university either at Curtin or ECU. So go and check it out and get the details. It is 26 minutes past 2. Very soon, we will have a very special guest on whose name I don't know, whose details I don't know, and a